Welcome to the reading for Sunday, the 29th of March, 2026. I searched around for a suitable word of the day, or if you like, phrase of the day, explanation of the day, call it what you will. I couldn't really find one that fit the reading perfectly, but I did find thought for the day, which actually does fit in with the overall picture for this month's reading. It's from Jack Canfield. I'm sure Chicken Soup for the Soul, right? Decide what you want. Believe you have it. Believe you deserve it, and believe it's possible for you. Decide what you want. Believe you can have it. Believe you deserve it, and believe it's possible for you. And that's from the Joyous Abundance Journal, which I actually got when I completed my practitioner training, which is quite a while ago now, actually. And here, my friends, is today's reading. The Audre Lorde quote is, "Difference must be not merely tolerated, but seen as a fund of necessary polarities between our creativity, which," let me start again. Difference must be not merely tolerated, but seen as a fund of necessary polarities, right? Between which our creativity can spark like a dialectic. So there you are. And I'm going to read the Ernest Holmes quote because it fits in with the reading. All the power in the universe is with you. Feel it, know it, and then act as though it were true. That's the first one. The second one is, as the universe is run by an infinite mind, so our life is controlled by our thinking. Ignorance of this keeps us in bondage. Knowledge will free us. That's really a central core in all New Thought teaching, whether it's science of mind or it's unity or, even Christian Science or divine science or even lots of New Age philosophies, difference between the New Age ones and the ones I just mentioned are that New Age is not necessarily spiritually based. People would argue it is, but it's different. Is there a difference? I think there's a difference. Anyway. Okay, so why do I read the quotes? Because she starts off with that. She being Reverend Christie Hardwick. What does the universe run by an infinite mind say to you about differences? As you scan the environment where you dwell, she says, do you see replicas of yourself, or do you see individuals with the same essence as you? Can you see how the different expressions spark curiosity, interest, and creativity? She goes on to say, something in us moves when we face something we don't recognize or we don't know. We can see through the humanity to the divinity, but we also can respond to the humanity, guess what, as a divine creation. Even if it feels like a dialectic or incompatible ideas clashing, she says, we can find the truth together by following our hearts. I see the world as emerging and evolving. My brother sees the world as deconstructing and devolving. The question then is there a place where both can be true? That's a good question. So my question really to you and to me is, how do you see the world? Well, I see the world as emerging and evolving. I get that some people can see it the opposite way, as she says, deconstructing and devolving. And I can accept that people have got different ideas than I have, that I don't agree with. In fact, some of them I think are wacky. But bottom line is, I can accept the fact that everybody, to some extent, has got different ideas about how things are. Everybody, even people who kind of preach the same thing, like ministers coming out of ministerial training have already put their own spin on all the training they've had. So in 3 and a bit years of ministerial training, which involved going through this program, which was theoretically anyway at a master's level, I can see how I see the world differently than lots of other people in that ministerial program. We all put our different spins on things, don't we? So the real question for me is, and I guess the question for everyone is, can you accept the fact that there are differences and it's okay to have those differences? And the answer to me is, yeah, the world would be a very boring place if we all looked alike, if we all thought alike, if we all felt alike, if we had the same viewpoint. It would be incredibly boring. At least I think it will be boring. So I personally think it's a good thing. Does this help me on my spiritual journey? Well, going back to the Audre Lorde quote, she says, difference must be not merely tolerated, which actually kind of that brings me back to the crux of my thinking on this. There's a vast difference between tolerating something and accepting it. So when new people come into a community and they're just tolerated, to me, that's not a good thing at all. When they're accepted, that's completely different. I don't like the word tolerate. For instance, right now, you could say in lots of different parts of the US, Muslims are tolerated. They're not accepted. In some places, they're not even tolerated. But if you truly have got a country that says it believes in freedom of worship, freedom of religion, then you ought to go beyond not just tolerating it, but accepting it, whatever it is, whether it's Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, Hinduism, Sikhism, animism, where you see a soul in everything, shamanism, which is still around. It's been around. It's the oldest religion on the planet. If it is not a combined religion, but you know what I mean. It's the oldest religious expression on the planet. That's probably a better way. And spiritual expression on the planet. That's the way of putting it. Whatever it is. And there's lots of different religions out there. Doesn't mean you have to accept the ideas of that religion. Not at all. You retain your own, but it means you accept the fact that those people have got a right to see the divine in a different way than you do. And providing that doesn't turn into violence against anybody or hurt against anybody, that's fine. Once you get into religious viewpoints where their viewpoint is that they just want to eliminate the other side, no, then you don't accept that. You don't even tolerate it. You move to actually isolate that group out. But when people are just simply expressing their religious views in the way that they see best, and it doesn't impact the rights of anybody else, then that's good. Not sure quite how I got off on this stream, but I did. And speaking about different religions, I'm going to plug once again, and I will continue doing so until April 16, and maybe even a week after that. The fact that there is a class coming up on world religions, and it will speak about different kinds of religions, starting way back in prehistoric times and moving on into the present. And it's going to cover pretty well most major religions on the planet, if not all of them. But so why? Because it helps once we start to understand how people think, how they look at life, how they worship and what their belief systems are, then it gives us a better understanding of people in general. So I can face differences and arrive at the truth. I can face differences and arrive at the truth. That, my friends, is the affirmation for the day. If you did not get a chance to see Creative Life Spiritual Center's service today, it is already on their Facebook page. It will be on their YouTube channel either later today or tomorrow. And you can see my colleague Reverend Lisa Ryan, same place, and she'll be there tomorrow morning, 9:15. You can see my stuff on there as well. So go to Creative Life Spiritual Center's Facebook page. If you've never been there, have a look. Go to our webpage, have a look. So this Daily Guides broadcast for me isn't just about Creative Life Spiritual Center. It's looking at different people's ideas on religion and spirituality, stress on spirituality, and just offering them for people for consideration. So that's it. And in the process, hopefully making the world a better place for everyone. So until next time, my friends, namaste.